What is up, guys? I should probably clear my throat before we do the intro, but every friggin' time, clear my throat straight in the mic, and then I sneeze and hack and cough. That's on me. Sorry, guys at home. I understand if you turn the podcast off immediately as soon as you hear that. Welcome back to the Colecast. This is the first one that we have shot in the new year. It is 2026. It is officially the end of Coal Iron Works' 10-year anniversary and is officially the beginning of our 11-year anniversary. So that is the only fun factoid I have about this year. I haven't seen... Evan, you know, at the beginning of the year, they always give you that fun fact, like, this is the first prime number that we've had when you add up the numbers of the year since 1982. You know how they always do that at the beginning of the year?
No.
Okay, never mind. I'm out on a boat here. I haven't seen any of those, but they always do like fun little math, like this is the first time we've had repeating numbers, or this is the first time that we've had this, or this is the only time in your lifetime that you'll have a square root of this number or whatever. Anywho, welcome back to the Colecast, guys. Today is Wednesday, January 22nd. I'm going to go for it.
Oh, you're so close.
I'm going to say January 22nd.
21st.
21st, January 21st. You guys are joining us from wherever you're at, and we are hosting live from Anderson, Indiana. Two quick topics to touch on. We have April, I believe it's the 15th through the 19th, or 16th through the 19th. It is sometime that
16th
time,
to 19th.
16th to the 19th. We have the CBA Spring Conference, Fest, whatever. It's a great time. I've been twice. This will be my third year. It's going to be at Vista in California at the Vista Forge. I think it's a steam engine museum as well. I've seen a lot of pictures. It is super cool. I've talked to a lot of the guys that work out there and volunteer out there, and I am very excited. We will be taking a little more equipment than we typically do because it feels like we've just missed out on serving our customer out there. We've taken out and we've sold out of everything, and taking more sounds good. So what we're going to do is, if you buy a machine, accessories, material, dyes, whatever the case is, everything except for apparel, because we ship apparel from a different place. We don't ship that from in-house. That will all ship to Vista, and you can pick it up from the Vista Forge. Now, just because you're not going to the conference doesn't mean that you can't show up and pick up your press, your induction forge, your drawing dies, whatever have you. But that's where it will go, and it will go for free shipping. And that's why we're doing it, is because if I can take 7 or 8 pallets and ship them out and amateurize that cost, that is then affordable for me to then ship that for free, where it would not be affordable for me to ship one-offs directly to individuals. But you can come out the day before. I'm sure that they wouldn't even have a problem with you coming out if it was during the event. They're probably not going to let you stay and hang out and party, but they'll help you load and we can get you set up. That will be organized through myself and Vista Forge. So what you need to do is you need to reach out and say, Francis, here's my email with I understand I'm shipping it to Vista, but just so that if there's any problems in the future, I already have it. I need your shipping address, your phone number, and then I'll already have your email, because this is all taking place via email. And you'll say, this is what I want to purchase. I will email you an invoice. And as long as it is paid before March 5th. May 5th is after the event. As long as it's paid before March 5th, it will be on a pallet and at Vista around the time of the event. So that is, once again, email me, info@coaliron.com, and get free shipping to California. There is also potential for me to arrange for a small fee, not the full shipping cost that it would be out to California. We're looking probably between $400 and $800, $900 for most of our shipments, depending on how big the shipment is. For a small fee, I may be able to get it to you using some of my network. If you're in, say, the Sacramento area, and you can get out to a few of the guys I know out there, I might be able to lodge your press for a couple days. So, was the fade out on purpose? Did I do something wrong?
Nope.
Okay.
I was dusting off my board and accidentally pushed a button.
All right. We're off to a great start.
Yep.
Great start.
Very professional.
Okay. So that's CBA. I'm going to talk about that more. I'll probably do a recap of CBA and what all they do and whatnot over the next couple weeks. And we also have a big surprise thing to announce that's happening with CBA. So the number 2 that we're going to talk about is we have decided that we can serve our online customer better from our school's point of view. So we have had prices up for about 2 years now, and they've been doing okay for us. And this is less about anything else as much as it is about getting information out and making sure that people understand there are tools and classes out there. So we have dropped the prices on all of our classes substantially. So we did have, I think, a $30 or $40 price point and a $100 price point. We now have a $20 price point and a $40 price point. We also have a couple free classes that we have introduced. This is all thanks to Evan and Charlie and all their hard work and our guest instructors. We got Robert Burns, we've got Andrew Larson, Zach Herbeholtz, and one of our shining stars in our Coal Iron Works community, Benton Frizzy, who is just so friggin' dapper in his little shirt. He's just an adorable, adorable man in his little shirt. And his class is worth just seeing him talk in his adorable shirt.
Find him now.
We've dropped the prices on those to get easier access for you guys. We did not cut or edit any of the information out. This is not a teaser. This is not a gotcha or a limited sale. We are not trying to get you guys to rush in to buy them right now. This is our new pricing structure, and we are leaning into the fact that it will be evergreen. So it's a one-time payment. We've had people ask about that. Is this a subscription or is this a whatever, where I have to pay constantly to maintain access? This is a one-time payment. And I'll even go as far as to say, and Evan strikes this from the record if it's not doable, if you buy it and you're worried about maintaining access to it, I'll burn a DVD and send it to you. It's fine. I'll burn a DVD and send it to you. We want to get some of these classes into your hands. We want to get feedback on them as well, because we plan on doing a few more classes and being more regular with posting classes. We have 2 classes coming out very soon from very, very well-known accomplished knife makers. And we are also going to be more active on the YouTube with some informational videos and some project focus videos, and we've really leaned into the shorts and into the podcast over the last couple years with YouTube. But it's just such a no-brainer to get everybody involved and get feedback about what we're doing and get conversation going in the comments. And we really want to see that YouTube channel become something that people look forward to videos coming out, because right now we're wrestling the algorithm and we're trying to learn that beast, and it's not easy. It's not a fun time. So classes are not discounted. They have a new pricing structure, and they are definitely more affordable. So those are our 2 announcements. I always take way too long doing that. I am so sorry. I'm not good when I'm not scripted, but
there's a boy.
There's my little man. There's my little man.
Also, while we're stopped, I did find some 2026 fun facts about the year.
Sick. Hit me.
Yeah. So 2026 is the year of the fire horse.
Fire horse
In the Chinese zodiac. It is cool. America's 250th anniversary.
Yes, it is.
And it is also unique because it's the only integer that's one more than a perfect square.
That's what I was looking for.
Yep.
I like the math ones.
Yep.
The math ones are cool. Okay, so one more than a perfect square. That's fun.
So the example they gave was 5 squared plus 1. And that's unique.
I like it. I'm here for it. Annie Hootzel, let's move on to what we're talking about today, guys. As you can see in the title, we're dispelling myths about induction forges. We're talking induction. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying we've been selling induction forges for, I think, 4 years now. We've had the 25 kilowatt launch for about 2 years. We are in a learn as you go situation with induction forges. And there is a big mystery cloud over a lot of the information that's out there on induction forges. So what I've done is I've spent some time looking at YouTube videos, Facebook posts, arguments, conversations, even some customer service call and response on different sites about induction forges. And I'm going to dispel some myths. I'm going to give some factoids, and we're just going to cover induction forges. The ultimate goal of this is to bring clarity to some of the questions surrounding and to create conversations. So if I'm wrong, please let me know. Call me out. Tell me, hey, Francis, actually, you got that wrong. I'm totally okay with admitting I don't know everything about induction forges. In this community of blacksmiths in the induction realm, there are a ton of very, very intelligent people that could do this better. So I tried to lean on what they had to say and the guys that we trust and the guys we go to, but there is still that small chance that I'm wrong. So today is also scripted. Evan's not even in the room right now. I can do whatever I want. I can get away with anything right now, but I'm going to stay on track and I'm going to make Evan proud. I have a script that I'm going to follow today. So hopefully it's not dry and boring, but I wrote it myself. So this is to keep me accountable and not to drift and wander and make this a 3-hour thing. So we're going to start out, guys. We've got induction forge myths. And the 2 questions we're going to knock out right off the top of the bat are induction forges cost more money than they're worth, and induction is bad for the environment. Now, this is a quick answer for both of them. The cost of running an induction forge at high volume in a single person production shop, the example that I'm going to take from is Derek Melton. This is off of his website where he is saying exactly how much it costs him, who forges solely off of induction and is a high production shop for one person. He puts out a lot of little small stuff, doodads, knickknacks, Friedrichs crosses, stuff like that. It costs $10 to $15 a month, while a 100-gallon propane refill is currently between $150 and $300, depending on where you live in America. That is directly from Google, where I got that from. Depending on where you're at, propane's more expensive. So what you're looking at is you're looking at saving that money, and there is the initial investment into an induction forge. Ours is on the higher end of things, but it also comes with no setup, no worries, a very reputable, hopefully a very reputable brand behind it. Hopefully that's how you guys feel as well. And we'll get into more of that later, but you're saving over time. So just off Phillips alone, you've got about 2 years to where that induction forge is going to pay for itself. You're also saving yourself time and efficiency of getting in the car, loading it up, getting it to the place to get refilled. You're spending gas money, you're spending time, you're spending energy that you could be forging. This is also another fun fact because I did see guys in the comment that say, yeah, absolutely, I get what you're saying. But for the environment, it is better to just burn coal in a coal forge than to convert it to electricity. When burning coal to convert it to electricity, let me get the number here. I want to make sure I'm not lying. I believe it's 80%. Yes, most thermal efficiency on boilers in the electric system process, however you want to word it, is about 80%. So about 80% of your thermal output is converted directly into electricity. When you burn coal in a forge, you are getting 10% efficiency or less. So about 10% of that thermal energy is actually moving into your workpiece and creating heat inside your workpiece. The way inductions forge is they take electricity, they excite the metal, and then it gets hot. So that 80% is going to be way more efficient than using it in a coal forge. So we're going to dispel those myths right now. They do pay for themselves over time with propane and coal refills and re-ups, and they are not worse for the environment because they're actually using the heat from the coal in a more efficient way. Not to mention some of you guys out there that live next to dams or windmills or solar fields. Coal is completely removed from the process and it is actually more efficient. And hopefully this is maybe polarizing. Hopefully within the next 5, 10, 15 years, more and more of us are on nuclear, and there is even less waste because nuclear seems like it has had a bunch of myths of its own spelled about it, and we're starting to figure out that it's not as dangerous and it's not as bad for the environment. And here's another fun factoid, Evan. You ready for this about nuclear? He's back, by the way. I'm not just talking into the air. The amount of nuclear waste a human will create solely reliant on nuclear power over the course of their lifetime, the nuclear waste will fit into a soda can. That is the amount of waste that you will creating electricity via only nuclear power over the course of your lifetime. That was a bland statistic that I read, so I'm not sure if that includes your Chili's and your Times Squares, if they kind of amateurize that over the population amount, or if they're saying just household residential power will do that. But that's a fun factoid. That's a whole lot less waste than what we're doing now, so that's good. Moving on, induction forges are dangerous to inexperienced users. Myth number 2. We have been running a school with induction forges in it for about 4 years. Before that, we had induction forges at our shows that we would take out. We've told the story many times. We just had an induction forge and got bullied into selling them. I've never had somebody get hurt on an induction forge. I've had people walk up and put their finger in it without asking. Guess what? Doesn't do nothing. We'll cover that as well later. We have not seen any shocks or any misuse that has hurt somebody. Evan, why are we? Oh, Evan got zapped one time.
I have been zapped. You can ground yourself.
Yes.
If you're not careful.
Right.
As all things, you should be using caution with these tools. You can ground yourself and get a little buzz going.
When I say yes, that is important to clarify. Thank you for that. When I say they're not dangerous, this is not a zap that'll put you in the hospital.
No,
this is not something that will cause a scar. It is a buzz, and it is startling.
It feels like a crazy, like the little the palm vibrator shocker things. It feels
The
like that
buzzers.
in your entire body.
Yeah. So
It's kind of fun. Don't do it.
But it is not harmful. There's a very small risk. In fact, I think you might be the only person I know that has done that. And I
did it at a show demo too.
I did some internet sleuthing, I think is what they call it, where I was looking up and trying to find out, even in cook ranges and things like that, I could not find any injuries stemming from induction heat. So the number one risk is going to be that you're making material hot and then you touch that material. It's a blacksmith shop. It's a manufacturing shop, whatever realm you're using it in. Making things hot and handling them is going to be inherently dangerous. But from everything that I can tell, and in my own experience and having classes with literal children, like 7, 8 years old coming in, forging, we have not had any problems. They have not been dangerous to the end user, even when it is a very, very, very young and inadequately informed user. So that is myth number, we'll say 2, because we kind of lumped the first 2 in together. D, it defies blacksmithing tradition. This is the one. This is it. This is the one that kind of grinds my gears. At what point in blacksmithing history is historically accurate? When do we decide that's a blacksmith's role and that's all he's allowed to do? Is it in Syria when they created Damascus? Is it 1850 once we started to figure out steam? Is it the pig iron era? None of you are blacksmiths because you don't exclusively forge with wrought iron, right? What era do we get to decide that is what is historically accurate in? Is induction forging historically accurate at Conner Prairie? No, because Conner Prairie is set around 1860s, 1875, I think, somewhere in there. Am I wrong? Evan's going to look that up. It's really not important to people who don't live in Indiana. But yes, if you are going for an era where you in your shop, you prefer using a certain era of tools, I absolutely support you on this idea. Hey, it doesn't fit within the ethos of what I'm trying to do. This is a demonstration shop. This is a historic society. Great. But the history of blacksmithing is innovation. The history of blacksmithing is the water wheel. The history of blacksmithing is the steam engine and the power hammer. And all of these things, creating new tools to be able to be more functional or allow other people to be more functional. The blacksmith was the architect. He was the city planner. He was the artist. He was all of these things, the engineer, the architect. Like I can't remember if I already said those things, but at what point do we decide blacksmiths can't use this anymore because that makes it not blacksmithing? So we're going to push that myth aside immediately because blacksmithing has always been on the forefront. I saw a movement. Nope.
Yeah, nope. It opened in 1823, and it only says that they're set in the 19th century.
Okay, so 1800s.
I assume it's 1800.
Okay.
So they also have a lot of new cool stuff there. I need to go back and check it out.
We should do a video there.
Field trip. I don't know if they'll let us. Real quick.
I don't know. They seem cool.
I left earlier. I got a package. It's a very special package from a very special fella. We should do an unboxing.
We should unbox that.
Yep.
We'll do that at the end. It's a teaser. Maybe you guys should stick around.
Just a teaser. So that's probably actually good that you interrupted me because I would have ranted about that for an hour. But let me read what I wrote in the heat of the moment when I was doing my script here. Blacksmiths have always been on the forefront of innovation. Every culture that has had a history of metalworking shows that the blacksmith was in the face of responsibility for modernization of the community in most aspects. The old tradition should be honored. However, part of the old tradition that we should keep intact is pressing boldly into the potential and the possibility of what we can do as a community. At some point, iron, steel, copper, and other materials used by smiths were cutting edge, and tools such as water wheels and steam engines were at least progressed in order to be more efficient in the metalworking shop. Use what you have. It expands your capabilities, right? We're getting to the point in society now where we don't really want for much. And so what we're doing is we're progressing to the point where we're not getting to the end goal yes or no, getting to the end goal. We're getting to the end goal more efficiently. Now, there are dire situations in communities. People are homeless and there is food scarcity. And obviously that is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is if you take a commission for a gate or a railing and you have to go install it in a month, if you do that by hand and it is 500 feet of gate, that is going to suck. But if you use an induction forge and a rosebud and a power hammer and use tools that are expand your capability, you are going to be able to get that installed quicker. You're going to be able to meet your deadline. And usually the faster you work, you can get more projects done and you can make more money, right? You can serve your community better if you're not doing it for money, if you're doing these for community projects or for charity. So induction forges are not breaking the blacksmith tradition. If anything, they are honoring them at a higher level than guys that refuse to move on with the statement added. If you are doing it for demonstration or you doing it for education and you are staying within a realm and saying this is the era that we are representing, great. Keep it that way. I fully support that. I think that we should understand and know where we have been to understand and appreciate where we are and where we're going. However, stop telling people that you're not blacksmithing just because it's an induction forge. Okay? That's it. That's the end of the myth. We've killed it. Killed it dead. And then E, which is number 5, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. E is number 5. Induction heats from the outside in. I included this one because it's you're not right and you're not wrong. This is a fun one. So the way that induction forges work is they take these things called eddy currents and they penetrate the metal and they reverse polarity consistently, constantly, and faster than you could ever imagine. And that causes molecules and atoms inside of the steel to get very excited and get hot, right? They rub against each other and create friction and get hot. So it does not heat from the outside. What it does is it heats as far as it can penetrate into the metal. So if you're at the upper limit of what you're heating on your induction forge, yes, you will see the outside get much hotter than the inside, and then you'll start to see some baking or some cooking, whatever. Everybody calls it something different. We need to get together. All of the Abana chapters need to get together and just agree on vernacular in blacksmithing. Billet, cook time, wait time. There's all kinds of things thrown around. But so if you are on the upper echelon, you will notice your outside is getting hotter faster than your inside. But that's not because it's heating it from the outside and allowing time to penetrate. That means that it is not being able to penetrate deep enough into the metal to heat the metal at its core. Once you get the material up to heat, it will penetrate through a little bit faster, a little bit easier, and be able to heat the middle, as well as you're getting some of the residual heat from the outside pushing in. So you're not right, you're not wrong, you're not heating from the outside, you're heating from as far as the eddy currents can penetrate into your material. Those are the major myths. That's kind of the things that I see people throw around, that they're either... and I'm not calling anybody out. It's very easy to believe that induction forge is bad for the environment. It's easy to believe that they're dangerous. There's lots of things. This is not throwing shade at anybody. This is offering clarity for people who maybe are interested or inquisitive about induction forges. And those are the most common myths that I see being portrayed online. Evan, do you have any off the top of your head that I need to cover? Nope. Okay. Doesn't even have his microphone on. Didn't want to be involved in this. I see how it is. Induction forge concerns is the next one that we're going to go over. Water and electricity in the same place scare me. I see this a lot. I almost put it in myths, but this topic is what made me write the concerns, because it is a little bit different than a myth. It's a logical concern. You have 220 volts of electricity going through a machine that is being water cooled. Seems kind of weird. I'm going to dispel this real quick for you. Okay. Ready? Valid concern, but dishwashers, washing machines, submerged pumps and water treatments, and your dams that are actively creating electricity, right? There is all kinds of places in your house currently right now where electricity is running right next to your water. That is taken into mind when these machines are built. And yes, I have seen damage to machines from water lines going bad, but I've also, even with our own machines, had water lines come loose internally once. That was once. I want to make sure that you guys know this isn't a common problem. One time, and the machine worked absolutely fine. So what'll happen is there's water maybe touches a part that it shouldn't. You will get an overcurrent or an over voltage error. The machine will then shut down. You'll have to turn it off, inspect, see what is happening, what's going wrong. You fix it, you turn it on, and you're good to go. So yes, while I understand that this kind of idea of water in an electric machine, and this one isn't super common, but I think it's a fair enough that I want to cover it. It's a fair concern. So it's a technology that we have figured out, and we've had it figured out as a society for quite a long time. And I've seen machines work after water damage. That's the point that we have it figured out. So that is concern number one. Number two is I don't have a heated shop and I cannot keep the water from freezing. Okay. This one is also going to be contentious. This one, I found a few people that I really, really respect, and I am not dispelling their knowledge. I am erring on the safe side, especially as a manufacturer who wants to make sure the machines that I put in your shop work consistently. Okay? Don't use antifreeze. Don't use coolants. The first thing you're going to say, well, Francis, I use TIG coolant. It's made for that. You're absolutely right. Our chiller is a converted TIG coolant or TIG chiller that is made to handle that. Induction machines are not. There are different materials in the fittings. There are some fittings that maybe are not as up to par as maybe they should be in a lot of other brands. We've not experienced this within our own machines, but I have seen people that use coolant or antifreeze that over time that will actually eat through the metal on the fitting, whether it's brass or bronze or whatever they're using. It will eat through that fitting. I recently just replaced a couple of fittings for, I don't think Derek will mind because he posted it on Instagram and walked everybody through it. I replaced a couple of fittings for Derek because on his other machine, his non-coal ironworks machine, he had been running coolant through it for long enough that it ate through it, caused a lot of damage, and he actually had to take the entire fitting out and replace it. That is on the extreme side of things. That's what I've seen. If you're lucky side of things is as the TIG coolant breaks down and as it starts to get old and the water around it evaporates, it congeals and it turns into this weird texture of like snotty gummy bears or like gummy bears that you've left in your car for a hot summer day. And then you have to go through and you have to do much more maintenance, tear your machine down, clean your water lines, clean all your fittings to get all that crap out because it leads up and it'll catch and then the next piece catches and then the next piece catches. And even if the initial piece that was there wouldn't clog it, you get the breakdown over time and it causes a clog and then that can ruin a machine. So that's on the lucky side. Now, if you're extremely crazy lucky and you never have to worry about cleaning out your lines and you stay on top of maintenance and you change out your water and your coolant mixture constantly, let's say every 2-3 weeks, maybe once a month, as the manufacturer recommends that you're buying from, that crap is expensive. Some of the mixtures that I'm seeing when we were doing our own research is like $80 a gallon, and it's calling for a 50-50 mix in a 5-gallon tank. So you're spending $160 to make sure that water doesn't freeze, and you're having to do it once a month or every other month or whatever. The last thing that I want to do is sell you a machine and then tell you, by the way, you have to spend $160 a month or every other month for upkeep. So, once again, going back to what I said initially, I am erring on the extreme side of caution and on what I consider the extreme serving our customer side and making sure that machine has a longevity and a lifetime that I cannot contest where the problem started stemming from, or say in a year you bought your induction forge, it stops working and you've been running TIG coolant through it. I don't have to question what if a line got clogged or what if this happened or that happened. If there is an issue with the system, I want it to be my fault. I want it to be our problem to handle. So I don't recommend that. What I recommend doing, and our chillers come with it standard, is make sure that you get a chiller or a cooler that drains. So some of these are kind of a bear to drain. They don't have a quick drain port or a quick access port. Some of these I've seen that you have to pump out, which is, not fun. If you are facing an overnight freeze and your shop is not heated, drain it into a clean 5-gallon bucket, and then you can put it in the entryway to your house. You can leave it in your shop and then thaw it out in the morning, however you would do that, and then reuse the same water. The water doesn't go bad just because you took it out of the induction forge. That is our recommendation. So you're concerned about having water that freezes. What you're going to hear is that you add glycol or you add this or you add that. I've even seen people using half vodka and half water. You don't have to do all that. That's a lot of upkeep. That's a lot of questions. That's a lot of what ifs. You're introducing more variables into the scenario. It's easier if you just drain your water. Any of the residual water that's left in the system is enough that if it does freeze, it has room to expand and it won't affect your machine at that point. So let me read my script to make sure that I didn't miss anything that I wanted to say.
Yeah, a quick visual point on using antifreeze. Derek did experiments.
Yeah.
And this is what happens.
Yeah.
This is also on his website. He's got an extensive document on his DIY machines and other experiments that he has run on induction forging in his shop. Highly recommend checking it out.
Anytime anybody brings up induction forging, just check with Derek. Anything they say. If I tell you something about induction forges, cross-reference that with anything Derek has ever said, because he is much more in tune with them and uses them more often and has a lot more experience with them. We love them and we use them all the time in our own shop, but Derek has tons more time and information. And honestly, he's just smarter than us. He is just such, you know what? Okay. So we're going to do we're going to do a podcast where we talk about induction techniques, and then we're going to do a CBA podcast. And then after that, we should just do a podcast where we just talk about how much we love Derek. Just 2 hours of what a wonderful man that is, an asset to the community, to our community, his community. And good night. I could go on for hours.
We'll have him on the podcast and just have him muted, and he'll just have to sit there and take the compliments live.
And listen.
Yeah.
Right. We should do that for all our friends' birthdays. But that is our recommendation when it comes to coolant and to antifreeze and things like that. If you've currently got an induction setup that you cannot quick drain, I'm sorry. I don't really have a ton of advice. But if you are looking at purchasing a machine or building your own machine, I also just want to say this information is bipartisan. This information is not about our machines. Apply this to any machine that you are going to get. We acknowledge and we understand that we are not the only option. We are an option, and we try to be the best option we can be. But I also want to help people out that don't have our machines. If you have an issue with your machine, I can't promise to know exactly how to fix it if you reach out, but I can promise to try. So keep that in mind as well. But don't use antifreeze and coolants. If you're looking at a machine with your water system, make sure that it's quick drain. And if you have a coal ironworks machine, all of your machines are quick drain. So there's a port on the back, just a quick 90-degree ball valve. So C, which is number 3 in concerns, is I am not an electrician, so if something breaks, I'm not able to repair it. Whew. This one, I struggled with it, Evan. This one was a good, it's like, yeah, dude, I get it. I'm not an electrician either. I don't like working on the insides of these machines because they get confusing very fast. That's where the brand that you partner with, and this is maybe the one, I've got a couple parts here, but this is one of the parts where I'm going to sweet talk us. You need to partner with a brand that has a reputation for offering good service. Our unofficial warranty is if I wouldn't want to do it in my shop, I wouldn't have somebody else do it. And I'm not talking about if I wouldn't want to do it because I don't have the right tools or equipment. I'm talking about I am in the perfect setup for this repair. And this goes for all of our machines. I am in the perfect setup for this repair, but I spent a lot of money to make sure I didn't have to do this. This is the equivalent of me rebuilding a machine. I would have just bought an old machine and rebuilt it if I wanted to do that. That's kind of our warranty. So say you get a capacitor that goes bad. I don't send you a new capacitor. I send you a new machine. And when it comes back in, I figure out if I can use the capacitor. And what I use old inductions for is I'll scavenge them for parts. A lot of fittings are just easier for us to scavenge off of old inductions than it is to get them new or made or whatever. There are a lot of weird sizes. The tubing is already pre-cut to the size it needs to be, so I cut all the water line out. But if I can fix it, what I'll do is schools will reach out and they ask if we have an education discount, or veterans programs will reach out and ask if we have a veterans discount for a veterans forge. And we will give them the rebuilt ones or sell them to them at an extreme discount with a full service warranty and all that. But that's how we are able to do those kinds of things. So if you ever do have an issue with your induction forge and it is a warranty, just know that you are not only getting a new machine, it's going to get reused for a good purpose. It's not just scrap. We try to be as good stewards of what we have given to us. And sometimes that's machines. So if you're not an electrician and something breaks, you don't want to be able to repair it. My first thing that I would tell you, you don't have a machine yet and you're worried about it, pair with a company, make your purchase with a company that has a good track record for service. Read reviews, ask guys who have had problems. Hey, you had a problem. Great. What was the service like? Did they get you taken care of? Hopefully most people, when they buy an induction forge, never have to worry about that. So you'll hear so-and-so online say, oh, I bought this brand and it's been perfectly wonderful and I've had it for 5 years and I love it. And if I were to ever buy another one, I'd get another one. That's a great review. That's a strong review. And I hope that you hear that about a lot of brands. But the difference really comes into those people that did have problems and what service was offered, how quickly that got fixed. So pair with that kind of brand that has a good track record of taking care of their customers and working with their customer to make sure the problem gets solved. Number 2, Induction Forge on Facebook. There's a group just called Induction Forge, and that is where a lot of my information has come from. There are very, very, very intelligent guys on there giving each other advice, helping troubleshoot, saying, hey, check this circuit. Hey, there's a reducer here. It doesn't look like it's working right. You've got too many wraps in your coil. I know you said it works straight out of the box, but by nature, induction forges lose power, so you might not be getting it out of a coil that large anymore. Whatever the case is, it's just a bunch of guys helping each other out, guys and gals. I have a tendency to say guys, and it's a blanket statement for all people. So every time you hear me say guys, I mean all people. I'm not just throwing a bunch of dudes out there and saying girls aren't invited. I want to make sure that's known. So that being said, there are a ton of problems I see on there where I see guys working through them for a few days, couple 3 or 4 days. And as somebody who works in a service industry where I'm serving a customer, it would bum me out a lot if I saw my brand machine on there and other people had to help you take care of it. I don't care if your machine is in warranty, out of warranty, if you bought it yourself brand new, if you bought it from a school that had it for 5 years, if you bought it from your buddy who never touched it and only has 5 hours of runtime. I don't care what condition the machine is in and how it got to you. All I care about is that you have a machine that we are putting our brand and our label on, and we want to back that up. So, if you're ever having a problem with your machine, let us know and let us take care of you. Pair with a company, whether it's us or another company that does that. Like, once again, this is bipartisan. This is just Induction Forge information. I keep saying bipartisan. It's unpartisan. Anywho, pair with a company that has a good track record of taking care of their customer, and you should not ever have to get your tools too deep into an induction forge to fix it if you don't want to. I've also had customers that are like, hey, I think I can fix this. Are you okay with me messing with it? And I'll let you know if it doesn't work. Yeah, absolutely. Report back your findings. Like that takes 3 or 4 hours that it would have taken me to do that. And it frees up that time for me to do other stuff. And then I still get the information back. And if you screw it up, guess what? It was already screwed up and I was going to replace it anyway. So keep that in mind, guys. Pair with a company that has a good track record of customer service. D, I don't understand coils and adapters. It all just seems like too much. This one I very thoughtfully wrote out, so I'm going to read this. I don't have a ton of rant about it because I wanted to be precise. Coils are a simple tool that you can make at home with no problem. We fill 1/4-inch copper refrigerant line with sand and gently wrap them around something hardish. This can be wood, this can be steel. Some applications, maybe even clay, who knows? But we use wood and steel. And that hardish thing is the shape that we want to achieve. You can use 1/4-inch or 3/8 inch with our coil nuts and most others marketed towards the induction realm. There's a slight advantage to using 3/8, but it can be harder to find and is much more expensive. The thicker wall can also lead to easier kinking. This is probably the main reason that we don't use 3/8 is because if you don't do it right, if you don't get it packed enough with that sand, the 3/8 kinks a lot easier than the 1/4-inch in our experience. Once again, I saw a lot of people debating this, but in our experience, it might just be the brand we buy. It might be part of our process, but I kink a lot more 3/8 than I do 1/4-inch. So there is a slight advantage there. The thicker wall will also lead to easier kinking. We use 1/4 inch due to the availability and the fact that we don't see a major improvement of the output of the coil at 3/8. Shout out my friend Brett Onick, who sent me a Chat GPT conversation where there was some mangled information there. It is the information on Induction Forge is so new and not readily available kind of in our atmosphere that ChatGPT was even struggling with it a little bit. There was definitely some filler stuff that was just like, if I write this, it'll sound right. But it said that you got more output from a 3/8 than from a 1/4 inch. It told him that on his 25 kilowatt machine, which is about an 11 kilowatt output, it would increase the output by 4 kilowatts. That would make it a 15 kilowatt output. I don't think that's real. I'll be honest. We've not done any studying and we've not done any measuring as far as comparing the two coils, but going up a size in your coil and getting 33% more efficiency just doesn't feel correct. So we might do some experiments. I know Brett said he was going to make some 3/8 and let us know how that turned out. But we just haven't seen enough of a benefit for the cost, the time, the kinking, all that kind of stuff. We use 1/4 inch. So that's what we do. By nature, coils are quick change, but if you want toolless changes, Terry at Clarion Forge has them. All right. And these are cool. You clip them in, you do your forging, you clip them out, you put your new coil in, you clip them in again, right? Very seamless. They're toolless. By nature, like I said, taking off a coil nut is pretty quick change. You just have to make sure that you keep your wrench on the Induction Forge, which can be a hassle for some guys, and I get that. We've seen really good results with what he's using them for. He has a 25 kilowatt from us in his shop, and he uses them. I remember at Abana, they were kind of struggling with the quick changes on our 25 kilowatt, and then he took that and he said, hey, I saw that they were struggling. I made some changes, and now they're working on the 25 kilowatts just fine. But keep in mind, we have not tested these and we don't have a ton of information about them. So if you have questions about those, contact Terry. Terry is awesome. Terry is a good dude. He makes quality products at a very affordable price, and he's Canadian. So he's super polite, super polite guy. Got to hang out with him at Abana, get to know him. So that was a good time. But coils are easy. Don't let them get, don't let yourself get frustrated by that. You kind of have some options. You have 1/4 inch straight to a flare nut, pop it on. You have 3/8 straight to a flare nut, pop it on. And then you have your quick connects, which you will have to solder your coil onto the quick connect device. So if soldering doesn't scare you, it's a great option. And then you also have 3/8 soldered to 1/4 inch. Or I'm sorry, 3/8 soldered to 1/4 inch, which I've seen a lot of people do. And I genuinely don't know why that's a thing. So not sure why they do that, but that is an option. That clears up our concerns. This feels like it's really long, mostly because I'm not used to being the only one talking. Talking the most, yes, but the only one, no. 3, we're going to go over some key factoids. Some key factoids. What's the difference between 15 kilowatt and 25 kilowatt? So the 15 kilowatt requires 220 30 amp and is much less finicky on coil material length, but does have an upper limit of about 1.5 inches square for heating material efficiently. It will heat larger, but you'll be heating for a while and you may not get to forge weld temperature. The 25 kilowatt requires 220 50 amp and will air out if the material used to make the coil is over 40 inches, 100 millimeters, 40 inches. It heats slightly faster than our 15 kilowatt on larger material. Key point, on larger material. and is able to heat larger material up to about 1 3/4 inches. The real win of the 25 kilowatt is the crucible steel, and while the 15 kilowatt doesn't have enough power to melt steel and iron, the 25 kilowatt can and will melt around 900 grams or 2 pounds into a quite usable billet. Okay, so that was the verbatim what I wrote. That was very well thought out. Good job, Francis. Thank you, Francis. Here's the difference. If you are a bladesmith and you are taking inch or 1.25 inch round bar, say 1084, and you're forging a monosteel knife out of it, or you're taking round bar that you've previously pattern welded, and you are making a knife out of that one small billet, Induction Forge is your dream. You'll love it. And you'll only need 15 kilowatts. You won't really experience any sort of usable difference going up to the 25 kilowatt unless you want to make that initial billet out of your crucible steel. If you are a tool maker, say tongs, hammers, chisels, punches, stuff like that, you probably are going to want a 25 kilowatt. And it's not because the 25 kilowatt will be able to handle a billet large enough to make a handle out of and to punch through or anything like that. It's just because you're going to be working with a lot of different sizes of material. You might go up on that upper echelon of 1.5 inches a lot more often, 1.5 inches a lot more often. And then also it comes to heat treating. So in a 15 kilowatt, you can heat treat a blade, no problems. In a 25 kilowatt, hammer faces and punches and things like that become a lot easier because your surface area can expand. So you can use a wider coil on a punch and get your heat treat farther back onto your punch or your chisel or whatever. Or you can flip a hammer onto a stand and have the coil just hanging over the top of the hammer face and heat treat just the face. I've seen Ben Snur do this on his 25 kilowatt. We've done it a couple times, works out really well. So it gives you that option. As a tool maker, though, if you have a heat treating oven and a heat treating process that you're already using, 25 kilowatt doesn't really make a ton of sense for you because you already have that fleshed out. A 15 kilowatt will still get, most of the work done that you need to get done. So those are going to be I got an empty stomach, so I'm getting the hiccups, and the hiccups are giving me burp. So, you're not going to get a ton of usability out of the 25 kilowatt that you won't get out of the 15 kilowatt unless you're doing crucible steel or if you're doing large material. So when I say 1 3/4 inches is your upper echelon, yes, it is. It will heat larger. You're just losing efficiency, and that's where the big efficiency drops off at. So you'll turn your frequency down or your power strength down. Every brand is labeled differently, but you'll turn that strength setting down and you'll have to soak it a little bit longer. And because you're reducing your power so that you don't burn the outside of the material, you will lose some heating time on that, which is great for production setups where they can set it in, walk away, do something, come back in 3 minutes, and it's hot all the way through. But it's typically not how our customers working. Our customers are working on one item at a time. So, bet you didn't think I was going to say that, guys. Bet you didn't think that I was going to advocate for the 15 kilowatt. Also, 30 amp breaker. You don't need a 50 amp. So if you've only got 30 amps in your shop, 15 kilowatt works fine. Works great, actually, not just fine. Great. There's the sales pitch. I said great, not fine. Yeah, I think most of our customers, I would say probably 85 to 90% of our customers, just off the top of my head, that is not with research, so please don't come at me in the comments. I would say 85 to 90% of our customers would be able to do everything they need an induction forge to do. They'd be able to do it on a 15 kilowatt sub. Maybe every couple of years they run into a bigger project. So that is that. What is the difference between a 16:1 and a 16:2 turn ratio? This gets very, very confusing very, very fast. So I'm going to explain it very gently, or not gently, very simply, and then move on. 16:1 is shallow, rapid penetration. So you're getting into the top layer of steel, but it's heating quicker. 16:2 is slow, deep penetration. So you're getting to a more center of the core of the material, but it's heating slower. So if you are doing small forgings where you need it to get up to forging temperature very, very fast, 16.1 is going to be the forging option. 16.2 is going to take time to get up to that temperature. If you are doing crucible steel and you need to make sure that it all comes up to temperature slowly and at the same time and is cohesive and you're not overheating something on the out while the inside is still cold, that's where 16.2 comes in. So the easy way to remember this is look for 16.1 if you are forging, and that includes getting up to forge welding temperatures, glowing yellows, white hots. Those kind of temperatures are achieved in a 16.1. 16.2 is going to be for crucible steel. They will struggle to get up to forge welding temperatures. It will take 20 minutes, which is how long it takes to make a crucible in an induction forge. You do not want that on most of your bar stock, most of things like that. So that is going to be used for melting. That is going to be used for crucible steel. And those are long processes because you're trading off the rapid heat for a deeper heat. Okay. So that's the difference on those. What is the difference between water circulation and water chiller? That one's easy, so I'm going to explain that one simply and then move on. Some systems will only cycle your water and they will not cool it. The cooling action comes from dumping back into a reservoir with the other hot water that has just been dumped into the reservoir. A chiller uses refrigeration in the reservoir to cool the water in the reservoir. So it's dumping, let's just go with a random number, 110 degree water into 70 or 80 degree water, and then putting that back in there drops the temperature. So that way that you're not getting air outs when your machine gets over 110, 120 degrees, whatever the alarm goes off at. Every brand's different once again, but a water circulator is for very light use. You're going to use that if you fire up the induction forge and you're going to use it for 5 minutes, just a couple heats. If you're relying on your induction forge to be active all day and you're going to be going back and forth between it, say at a demo outside on a 100-degree day, we've done it. Our chiller keeps up with that. Derek in a production shop in Mississippi, his chiller keeps up with that. So yes, a water chiller is going to be more expensive because there's more parts to the system, but you get more functionality out of it on hot days and more consistent use. If you're not using your induction forge very often, you're just using it for spot heats every once in a while, a circulator is going to do you just fine. You need to step up to a chiller if that's going to be a consistently used machine in your shop. Now, the other thing to look at, make sure that you match the BTUs to the use, because there are a lot of things that are chillers, so they're marketed as chillers, but they're a low BTU, so they will not be able to keep up with how quickly your induction forge is heating the water. It's going to try to cool it down, but it just can't keep up. That's why we went with way oversized, is because the last thing that I want to do is tell people, yeah, that's the nature of the beast. You just can't forge as much as you want. That's dumb. Overbuild the chiller, get better efficiency out of it. Our chillers only run when the water temperature gets above a set point, and then we'll drop it to about 2 to 3 degrees below that, and then kind of cool for a while, chill for a while. So it's only absorbing that power. It's the same as your induction forge. It's only using that power while the machine is actually running. So while you're heating a bar, the induction forge is drawing power. And then while you're actively chilling your water, your chiller is drawing power. Now, there is 1 or 2 amps that are going to go to the lights on your induction machine, the readout on the chiller. You're drawing that power, but that's literally the same, if not less, than running a refrigerator or a deep freeze. So that's the difference between a chiller and a circulator, or some places call it a cooler. I don't know how they get away with calling it a cooler, but it doesn't make it cooler. Evan makes things cooler. What are my limitations when I use an induction forge? Limitations come down to the size of the material and the coils that you have available. You are able to control the heat with the adjustment knobs, as well as changing your coils out to account for the shape of the work you're doing. Evan, bring up Terry's website again. So yes, we did. We covered the size, 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. That's going to be kind of your size limitation. Take me to the coils on his there we go. You see, we have the taco, we have the pancake, we have the combo, we have the blade edge, we have the box, we have the round, we have customs. Depending on what kind of work you're doing, you're going to use a different coil. So if you're using something that is really long, but you need to heat into the middle of the bar, but it's kind of awkward to be able to thread it through or, whatever. It's got some knobs and some twists in it that are bigger than the spot. You're going to use the taco, right? You're just going to drop it in, boom, heat it, get it going. We lost our limitations on length there, so no more. Box, okay, so I started with 1.5 inch round billet of Damascus that I'm going to be making this knife out of. Cool. Use a 2-inch box that is 2 inches wide and then can now fit the blade into it as you forge it wider and wider while not losing the efficiency of having coils close. That's something that I did not write down that I want to mention. Coils are going to be more efficient when you're around within 1/4 inch of your material. So if you're forging something that is 1 inch, you want to use 1.25 inches. If you're forging 1.25 inches, you want to use 1.5 inches, so on and so forth. Anything under 3/4, just use 3/4. You're not going to gain a ton of efficiency by using 1/2 inch, but you will slam your head against the wall and be very mad because 1/2 inch coils are very hard to make. They're very annoying. That being said, we will make them. We will make them. So email us, info@coaliron.com, and you can be the reason Hayden cries. So
we don't want to see Hayden cry. I don't know if you have it on your list. Did we have the wand included?
The wand. Ooh, let me add wand.
Yeah.
To quick facts. Yeah. Well, let me write that down.
Okay.
We'll cover the wand. The wand's
Talk about the wand.
Okay. So moving on, I think that covers up our limitations. It's really size and material. Got to cover material on this one. The less ferrous it is, the less iron content it has, the less effectively it will heat. So yes, it can do some brazing and it can do some stuff like that, some small crucible copper work and things like that. And you'll see guys do that with their machines. Yes, it will do it, and we're not going to tell you not to do it, but it is very, very hard on your machine and causes it to be a strenuous output that it is constantly hitting resistance with. So I would not recommend doing it regularly. But moving on, can I make Damascus with it? Yes, you can make forge welds. You can do stacks. We did a 2-inch by 1 inch by 1 inch billet, and we were able to make a paring knife out of it. And that's about all we got. So the answer is yes, but don't. You can do forge welds. It will get to a forge weld heat, and it will be a very quick forge weld heat. And you are going to think to yourself, man, this is so dang cool. And then you're going to try to do a full-size billet, and it's not going to do it. A, if your stack's too tall, it's going to be too big for the coil. B, you're creating an environment where instead of heating the whole thing, you're having to heat a little bit at a section just to get it into a coil. So propane reduces the environment. We all know propane is better for forge welding, for pattern welding than for coal forge. And when I say we all know that, we're going to get comments, but it reduces the environment. It makes it a lot better for the process. It's the same way with an induction forge. Induction forge is not going to be your go-to if you're making a 4-foot bar of Turkish twist. It can forge weld. So if you're one of the guys that makes your bits and your rings separately and then forge weld them together, you're going to love it because it'll do that. Handy dandy, no problems. If you like to heat up your rivet before putting them in your tongs, that's not forge welding, but it'll still do that, right? So think small stuff, small joineries, as far as forge welding and material goes. Yep. We're going to move on to the wand. That's the end of that one. The wand. This is one that I struggle with. Our 15 kilowatts don't like the wand. You can get them to work, but it's hit and miss. I think it has to do with coil length and kind of just power output over that much length. Our 25 kilowatt 15 ones don't like the wands either because it's just too long They're trying to push too far away. And our 15.2s do like the wands, but it is very peculiar and very particular what coil size you use on it. So I don't know what it is about our induction forges specifically, but they seem to not work that great with wands. And while we can get them to work and we've seen them work, we personally have just not had great success with them. The 15.2 specifically that we have on the 25 kilowatt, which is not available for purchase. I probably maybe shouldn't even be talking about it. It's not an open thing, but we did experiment with the 15.2 on a 25 kilowatt. We had to make the coils different sizes. So the coil, say a 1 inch on a 15.2, we would have to do like 6 wraps on that. On the wand, we would have to do like 4 or 3. So it was very peculiar. I don't know a ton about them because we really haven't been able to get them work right in our shop. And that is also because we haven't taken a ton of time to do it. We haven't spent a bunch of time to do the research behind it. I know Nathan has one on his, and that's one of ours, obviously, and he likes it. He's gotten it to work. But once again, my thought process and my idea of giving somebody a service or a tool is I want to give it to you and I want you to work it straight out of the gate. I don't want to have to give you a tool with a list of exceptions or rules or responsibilities. I want it to be as low maintenance as possible. So once we get to a point where we can figure out how to make a wand that works with your other coils, that you don't have to have separate wand coils and, this and that and whatever, we might offer a wand in the future, but it's not on the table right now. We have other things that we're focused on, other research that we're looking at. But as far as coal ironworks inductions go, I've seen them work. I just don't know personally enough about wands to tell you how to make it work. So if you see a guy with one of our induction forges making a wand work, ask him. Just, hey, is this easy enough? We've got a great community and they'll answer you and they'll tell you. Yeah. So moving on. Why are your induction forges advertised as 15 kilowatt and 25 kilowatt? I'm glad you asked, chat. So, when blacksmiths started getting interested in induction forges, they were not able to get the American-made ones because they were huge. They were industrial. They were doing axles and drive shafts and large pieces for machinery and boats and stuff like that. So they weren't able to get American-made ones because that's where they were getting built for. There was not a small induction heating unit made that blacksmiths could get. So a gentleman who is at this point just as influential to coal ironworks as anybody else, Grant Sarver, started importing Chinese-made induction forges. And so for whatever reason, in that area of the world, in China, Japan, Korea, wherever it was coming from, they would market their induction forges as the power either at the capacitor bank or the transformer. We're still trying to figure out exactly what their equation was to get this number. But that's what we've been told, essentially, is that instead of the actual output or the input into the machine that they were being advertised as, is that they were measuring the advertised power at either the capacitor bank or the transformer or maybe a reducer or something like that. So when we started selling induction forges, just like US Solid or any of the other brands that you might be familiar with selling induction forges here on Amazon or on eBay or anything like that, they're advertised as 15 or 25 kilowatt, and that is not the actual output. I want to be wholly transparent with that with anybody who might listen, who might inquire about induction forges. That's not the actual output. But that's how it's been advertised in the blacksmithing realm for 40 years at this point, 35. He was the early 90s when he started doing it. So it's been advertised for that for so long that when we started selling them and we figured that out, we kind of had a conversation. It was Nathan, Logan, and myself had a conversation about how do we advertise these? What we don't want to do is we don't want to add confusion into the mixture and say, hey guys, 15 kilowatt induction forge, but the actual output is 8 kilowatts or 7 kilowatts. But there's also this other hand of like, we don't want we don't want to seem dishonest. So we kind of talked about that for a while where it's like, well, we're saying it's 15 kilowatt, but it's only 8 kilowatt. And the more and more people that we talked to about it, they were like, no, like we all understand that a Chinese induction machine advertised at 15 kilowatts is only 7 kilowatt output. And we were like, oh, that's great news because that makes us feel better, but it still feels a little dishonest. So it's not a perfect solution. If you guys want raw, transparent Francis, it's not a perfect solution to say 15 or 25 kilowatt. The reason that we did it though is to not create confusion within the community, and to not advertise our machine as 7 and 11 kilowatt and make people think like, oh, Coal Iron Works is producing a lesser output machine. It's not going to get done when it needs to get done. Our machines are the same output as any of the other, like I said, the white box ones that are white and blue, the ones that are white and orange, the US solids, all of those. We've found like 3 people that make induction forges. There's not a lot of options when you're making induction forges. So they're all made kind of by the same people, and those people are the ones that are choosing what to call them and advertise them as 15 and 25 kilowatt. So there is part of us that kind of wishes, or there's part of me that kind of wishes that we would have stuck with the real output of 7 kilowatts and 11 kilowatts. But we're also just following the norms and the standards of the group that we're selling to. And so no matter what brand you buy, whether it's us or someone else, your 15 kilowatt is going to be about 6 to 7 kilowatts, and your 25 kilowatt is going to be about 11 kilowatts. Maybe 12, I think ours are around 1150. So that's a great question, and that's one of the most contentious questions. That a lot of times can be a gotcha moment with some customers who email us the math and say on residential power you get 200 amps into your entire circuit box, and it's like my response is the same. It's, I know we're following the norms and the standards of the group and community that we're serving. And if we were to advertise something as 11 kilowatts, they would think that it's not the same power of machine of a 25 kilowatt that they're buying off eBay, when in fact that's false. So imperfect world, imperfect solution, imperfect naming to the machines, but that is why induction forges are called 15 and 25 kilowatt, is because there is a measurement somewhere inside the machine that they pulled that from that is not specifically to the output. So that's that. Here's the fun ones, guys. Here are the fun ones. Here's fun factoids. What happens when I put my finger in the coil? Simple answer. You're going to find every single metal splinter in your hand immediately. And that's it. That's the end of it. You can touch the coil while it's running. You can put your finger in the coil while it's running. You can touch the coil immediately after running a 45-second, 60-second heat. The coil itself will not hurt you by touching it. Okay. What if the workpieces touch the coil? All right, so here's what's going to happen. You have your coil. You're shaking a little bit because you've been working all day under a power hammer and you got that little shake that we all get. And you're just ever so slightly going to kink it. Your workpiece is going to touch your coil. You're going to see an arc. It's going to flash. You're going to get startled. Probably the first 5-10 times it happens. It's very startling. The machine will beep at you for probably 5-10 seconds and then it'll stop beeping. What you have to do is you have to turn the machine off. This will not turn the the chiller off, this will only turn the induction forge off. Turn the induction forge off, collect yourself, stop shaking, change your coil if it's because you're using too small of a coil on the piece, turn it back on, and then you're good to forge again. You will not get electrocuted. You will not get shocked. It is startling. That's all. You get back to forging. Now, over time, it will create weak spots in your coil, and it will cause damage to the internals of the machine, but it takes quite a while to do that. And like I said, our chiller is still running. So if you make an arc and you have opened a leak in the coil, you'll notice immediately that you need to swap out that coil. So there's no need to take it out and check it and investigate it. You're going to notice it immediately because water's still circulating. And that's how most induction forges work, is the chiller and the induction forge run off separate power. So what happens is you get a jump scare, you turn your machine off, you reset, and you get back to forging. The whole thing can take 20 seconds. Totally fine. C, can it cook a hot dog? Yes, it can cook a hot dog. So what you do is you take your weenie roaster and you put your hot dog on the weenie roaster, and then you feed the hot dog into the induction forge, and as it heats the weenie roaster, it will cook the hot dog on the outside. If you just put a hot dog into the coil with no weenie roaster behind it, it will not cook it. But if you've got a weenie roaster, it will. Evan, do you have pictures ready by chance of our food explorations that we've done?
I can look.
We have cooked hot dogs. We have cooked steak. We have cooked gumbo. We have cooked a myriad of things on our induction forges. Now, how do you do it? You are going to take a small fire brick or some kale wool or something like that, and you're going to put it over a large coil, pancake coil. And then between the coil and the chiller, you are going to stack up fire brick so that that coil is supported, so that you're not bearing the weight of whatever you're cooking directly onto it. So you have a stack of fire brick, you have your coil, and then you have a buffer of some sort, thin buffer between you and your pan. Sorry, your coil and your pan. And then you're going to turn your heat way down. And just like you would cook on a charcoal or anything like that, like cooking on the coal when you go camping, you are going to place that pan directly on your buffer and then wait for that pan to get hot. You're actually cooking from the heat of the pan. So if you cook steak inside, which is a no-go for me, but if you cook steak inside, this is the way to do it. You get the pan nice and hot. Also, keep in mind, we had just oiled that with the only oil food oil that we had in the shop, and it was a very low smoke point. So it looks super smoky, but that is the oil from the seasoning it. If you look, I think at the end of this video, no, there's another video maybe. You see all of our steaks and how well they were cooked. I was thoroughly impressed. Now, here's what I will say. We sous vide them in the morning, and then at lunch, we just put that nice sear on the end or on the outsides. So if you would burn the outside for sure, unless you got really good at controlling the temperature on your pan, you would burn the outside of your steak before you got the inside cooked. I'm a rare side of medium rare guy, so that works for me. It doesn't take a lot to cook my steaks, but if you're a medium rare or a medium guy, you're definitely going to want to sous vide it, and it turns out perfectly. We also, like I said, did gumbo. That one, I think we just put the gumbo in the pan, put it on top, and then waited for some boiling, and then made sure that it didn't come too rapid of a boil. That was a reheat. We did not cook the gumbo that day. We reheated it from the night before. So can do it. You can do it. So you don't have to install an oven at your space anymore. Oh yeah, we did the omelet. Forgot the omelet. This is honestly too dramatic. Was it not an omelet? Did we just do a fried egg?
It was just a fried egg.
In my head, we did an omelet.
We could do an omelet.
Guys, let us know in the comments if you want to see an omelet. Let's move on. As much as I love this cheese sprinkle is perfect. You'll notice that the output on that was 242. That is a very low output for the 25 kilowatt. So I don't understand why this is just Nathan eating. Like this is a normal, he's not struggling to eat. That is his technique.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you come out and you make a pan with us, we'll fry an egg with you. That's a Coal Iron Works guarantee. Next question. Does it heat the shop like coal or propane? No, it does not. So that's good and bad. We live in Indiana, okay? Our summers, I think last summer, our heat index got up to about 110 was the highest I saw it. We get up to like, not always, most summers we're in the low 90s is our high, but there are, intermittent summers where we'll have stretches of being in the high 90s, low 100s with a heat index, which is humidity and no wind and all that. I don't know. I'm not a weather scientist, but it'll be in the upper 100 aughts. So in the summertime, that's awesome because I'm not adding a 2,000 degree heat source inside of my forge. I've had guys in Texas that have bought induction forges specifically for this region. I know Derek had mentioned it when he did the podcast, the demo about induction is it removes heat from his shop down in Mississippi. So summertime, good. It does not heat up the shop. Wintertime, bad. You lose a 2,000 degree heating source from your shop. So if you don't have a heated shop in the winter and you're running just induction, you do lose that heat source. Now, that's where you have to kind of ask yourself in the wintertime, is it more effective for me to run an induction forge? Because I'm only going to be out here for 30 minutes and I can kind of deal with the cold. Or I have a full day in my shop. I've got an 8-hour day. If I'm lucky, it's only 8 hours. I got a bunch of stuff that I can do on the induction, but I need to heat the shop. So I might as well fire up the propane or the coal forge and get it nice and warm in here. That is a decision that you can make. And that doesn't mean that while you have something in the propane that you can't go over and use the induction in the cold. So yes, it is a bittersweet thing to say. It does not add or take away heat from your shop. So it is neither. It is neutral in the heating department. And then lastly, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Health side effects. Induction forges should not be operated by anybody with a pacemaker or other devices susceptible to EMI interference. Your device could measure waves as a heartbeat and stop pacing. However, outside of this, there is no evidence of eddy currents or any other part of the machine having health impacts. If you are concerned about using induction from a medical standpoint, please consult your primary care doctor. They are probably more knowledgeable about your specific scenario than us. And I am willing to concede that they are definitely and wholly more knowledgeable about your specific scenario than us. And not only your scenario, but I will go as far as to say they're smarter than us in most other areas. So if you have any questions about the health impacts of induction forging, all of my research says so long as you don't have a pacemaker or any other device that has EMI interference potential, you're good to go. This is non-cancer causing, even in California, where they label everything as a carcinogen. So there is nothing funky or wonky that you need to worry about. Okay, there's no radiation coming off of it. There's no toxins. Their refrigerants that are used in it are all contained. They're not expelled. So that covers that. I said we were going to wrap it up, but guys, we got a friggin' unboxing to do. We have got a friggin' unboxing to do, boys and goyles.
Boys and goyles. I think I did find the hammer. Oh gosh. The hot dog cooking video.
There we go.
I'm pretty sure it's at the end of this.
I think it's in the end of this. So here's the scenario. Okay, so somebody responded. This was all fueled by a question thing Duger that we put out on Instagram. And somebody responded and said, I heard Francis cooked a hot dog in the induction forge and then quenched it in the water tanks. And we responded with, there is that lore. We did not confirm or deny. We just said that some people think that. Nathan responded and tried to call us out and say that we lied. He called me a liar straight to the Instagram. Here's the full story of what happened. Nathan wanted to cook a hot dog. So Nathan and I together put a hot dog. Was it on a coat hanger? I think it was on a coat hanger.
No, somebody had, I think Josh forged a hot dog poker.
Okay. We put the hot dog on a piece of metal and we heated it up. And it started blowing. Nathan heated up. Specifically, Nathan held the poker and steam started blowing out of the end of the hot dog, got hot, cooked it from the inside out because the heat source is from the inside and that, not like with your material where we already discussed it does not heat from the outside in. It heats from where it can penetrate to. So the hot dog gets hot. Nathan put it under the power hammer and it got all gobbledygooked. And
what happened?
Then we dunkarooed it. We dunked it into, and there is still live.
It does not want to play this video. Huh.
There is still live active things in those quench tanks. And I will also say for like 2 years when our coffee maker was back there, if I had a little bit of coffee left from the day before in my coffee cup and I went back to make new coffee, I just threw my coffee into the quench tank. And everybody hates me for it. But guess what? I'm right. Smelled weird after a while. I will give them that. But you are allowed to put coffee into a quench tank. That's my stance and I'm sticking with it. All right. Shout out Uline for sponsoring today's box opening. I have this wonderful, wonderful Uline special. Do I have to do the hand thing? Like all the people on YouTube. All right. So this came to us. This is a very special item. We are deciding what we're going to do with our mementos that we get from the Hammer In and from when we go to Quad State. And we have things like Mark Ling and Andrew Larson were wonderful enough to forge a pair of tongs when we first had the hammer running at Quad State. We've got a hammer from Andrew and Rob's demonstration from our Hammer In that they did together. I think somewhere we still have. No, we put the other one in the school. You can only have so many Andrew Larson things. You can't have just a bookshelf full of mementos from Andrew Larson. But we've got like Steve King's hammer that he made for Andy before he passed away. We have the Super Collab. We have these candle or lantern holders that. So anyway, we have all these mementos. And what we're going to do, and guys, once again, in the comments, let us know. I want to make a shelf back here. This flag either needs to go down or up. I can't decide. But I want to put a shelf back here and we're going to have our mementos on display. So this is going to be one of those mementos that will be on display. This year was one of our most exciting demonstrations for the Andy Davis Hammer In because, oh, this is packed really well. Because we got to see Leah and Jonah do some really cool stuff, and we got them from really far away, which if you would have asked me a couple years ago when we started this, if we were bringing demonstrators in that we didn't really have a relationship with, they weren't doing it because they were friends with Andy, they would want to come out and do this. I would have probably said no. We are blessed, and it is an honor to have these guys out in our shop and be considered friends. So what we did is Jonah did a demonstration forging a axe. What's the pronunciation on it?
Tassie.
Tassie, not Tazy. Who was calling it a Tazy? Feels nice being right, though. Anyway, it's a Tassie. And once he got done with forging, he said, yeah, you guys can keep that, finish it, hang it on your wall, whatever. And we said, you know what? Start to finish, why don't you just finish it, bud? So we sent it back to him. He finished it for us. And here it is in all of its glory. So not only is this an unboxing for us for what, got to use my serrated one. Not only is this an unboxing for us, but this is also to go to show you what it's like to order from Jonah. Holler at me in the comments for cutting towards myself. I get it. Evan, do you want to go freehand on here so that we can get some? Or no, that's good. That's like the whole screen. Yeah. So this is a 5-pound Tassie. Is the Tassie? Is the Tassie is a racing axe, right?
No, it's. I can't remember if it's his splitter or his chopper. I don't know. He was very specific about what it does, and I don't remember which one.
I have not watched that demo yet. I watched it on the big screen while he was doing it, but I have not watched it on the YouTube. This feels good in my hand. I love the swell. My hand naturally stops just above the swell. I'm not trying to hold on down here where my hand's going to slip off. My hand naturally, when I come, it feels good in my hand. It is not varnished, which I really like. I'm not a big fan of varnished handles, but it is very smooth in my hand. And I feel like over time, my hand's going to create a really nice natural patina on such a light wood. So there's the sharpening. This is a mirror finish on both sides. And he did this on a 60-ton and a 25-ton. Look at that symmetry. I'm holding it crooked. I can't get it to... The symmetry on it is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. So, Jonah, thank you so much. This is a cool piece to have. And, maybe someday it'll get some work done to it. Maybe this is what we loan out to our employees when they got some wood chopping to do. But thanks for joining us. This feels like it's been a long one, but every time I say that, Evan's like, no, it's only been 45 minutes. So thanks for joining us. Thank you.
This one has been long. Okay. It's been an hour and a half.
Thank you for being part of our community. Thank you for coming out and seeing us at CBA, Quad State, Blade Show. Guys, we are so grateful for you. And I'm even more grateful for the good things that you guys do in your communities. Thank you. We'll see you later.